We got John Jones, one of the anchors of the sport down here in Southern California, and we're going to be doing an interview with him. Welcome, guys. What family of birds you guys work with?
Well, it's a combination of families. You know, we produced basically our family of birds, which we've been working with for the last almost 19 years. It's a combination of the old Smith family, Jack and Ed, and Paul Platts. And then we work our color birds into those birds.
When you say color birds, what do you mean?
Color birds, you know, opals, almonds, laces, Andalusians, indigos, you know, color birds. I like color birds.
A lot of people say color birds don't roll.
Well, like this, they can say what they want. But like this, you know, everybody has what they want. And over the years, you can make anything do whatever you want, providing you have the time, willing to put forth the effort, and patience. Patience in this hobby is a virtue. If you don't have patience, you're not going to get what you want. But over the years, yeah, I think my color birds roll as good.
How many times you done qualified for the finals?
Well, I've qualified 8 times for the World Cup. I've placed in the top 20. This year was my fifth time out of 8 tries. And that wasn't until '93. So from '93 till this year, I've qualified 8 times. The wind, predators have caused some problems, but I placed in the top 20 5 years out of the years that I've flown in the World Cup.
And what club do you belong to?
San Diego area, which is the Southern California Roller Club, San Diego Spinners.
All the rigs turned over and stuff.
But yeah, you know, if you got the time and the patience, you can produce what you want to produce. You know,
what do you look for in a pigeon when you stock a pigeon?
What I look for what I look for. Sometimes if you want all the birds to have the spin that you desire, but I don't like nothing looking the same. I like everything to have its own uniqueness. So yeah, I look for color. I like if a color bird spin with the quality and depth that I want him to. Yeah, he has a potential, a potential chance to make it to the breeding line.
And you didn't qualify this year because what happened?
I did. No, I did qualify.
You did qualify, but somebody
beat you up. I placed 11th in the World Cup this year.
But somebody beat you up. Did somebody beat you up?
Joe
Peluso, right-hand man.
It ain't the first time, and it won't be the last.
See, the student
family of birds.
Right.
Same family of pigeon. The student beat out the teacher this year.
No, but those are his birds. He feeds, he houses them. They're his birds.
We're actually proud of him because, man,
I'm proud of him.
I got a lot of help from John. I mean, he helped me started me off.
Get your hands out your pants, man.
See, one thing about these birds, I don't care how good you are or what success you have, you always need some help.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have somebody to work with, because there's times that Joe breeds things that I don't have, or he might have something that I do need, or vice versa. But he knows that any time he can come up, I need a blue bar hen to do this. He's got it. If I see something in his yard that I like, I say, let me borrow that cock or that hen. I'll take it home, and we may split the babies, or I might keep all of them and give him a hen and let him keep all of them.
And that's how you improve.
That's how you improve.
That's how you guys work together.
Right.
What advice would you give somebody who's come into this sport of rolling pigeons? People talk about, pigeons are the worst thing on earth, and this sport has grown so big over the years, and you've seen it grow. What advice would you give somebody?
Well, a new person coming into the hobby, first, even old people that's been doing this for years, and most of them probably already know, first thing is patience. See, because no matter what family of birds you work with, it's going to take some of them a little bit longer to come into the spin, and it's going to take some of those even longer to come into the quality spin. So you want to work. The other thing I would say is a family.
A good family. Start with a good foundation family.
Start with a reputable family. And then from that reputable family, patience and knowledge. Gain as much knowledge as you possibly can. Going to these shows, visiting people's lofts, talking to people. You never quit learning. No matter how much you know, you always learn something.
And the birds just keep teaching you every day.
Right.
Just watch your pigeons too.
Right. Watch your birds. Gain from what you. Sometimes you learn more from other people that don't know as much as you, but you can learn something from everybody.
When I started with John, I had doubts of the birds that he sold to me, and I started breeding in it. He told me, "Hey, it takes patience," but I had doubts. But you know, you stick with it, hang in there, and the birds will come through. Especially the family of birds.
Yeah, it just takes, like I said,
Patience.
John, how long you been dealing with pigeons?
Well, I've been dealing with with birds since I was a kid. I'm
Same here.
59 years old. I've been doing this since I was, what, 10, 12.
12 years old.
But I never got into the professional end of it, meaning competition, up until 90, 91. And it was because people told me, man, them color birds don't spin. And then I had something to prove. And now I think they've proven themselves worthy that they're reputable.
To compete with anybody.
Right, with
Hey,
anybody.
where did your bird start from? I mean, where did you get your
Well, the basic part of my family were jackanet birds, but then I also had some Smith birds, and then I got into the color birds. A friend of mine who's one of the top guys in racers had ordered some color birds, some opal baldy, white bars, and some laced opals. Well, the guy that he bought them from, a guy named Ron Bull in New York, my friend ordered 10 pair. Well, when he got the birds, he had 18 cocks and 2 hens. So I went over and took 2 of the cocks. And then that's where my colors start coming in. Then over the years, I just start working with one side or the other, or crossing them, or just trying to produce what I like. And then it just comes together.
It just all came together. Well, thank you for the interview today, Joe and John. I really appreciate it.
I have a question. Do you think all rollers should be flown? Because it's a lot of guys go on like type, look for expression.
There's
stuff
only one
like
type.
that.
To me, there's only one type of pigeon.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of pigeon that is? The type that spins.
Right.
I don't care if he's got a long beak, long tail, fat, short, squatty, whatever. If he spins, then that's the type. People put so much emphasis on type. Type don't make the bird spin.
Right.
I think spin makes the type, because you find a lot of people, for example, they'll come to some shows and they'll buy a bird out of a show pen.
Right.
What does that bird do? Have you seen that bird in the air?
Right.
You don't know. But if you come to someone's house and they put the kit up for you, let you pick out what you want, at least you have an idea of what you're buying.
Right.
But you can't tell me that you can pick a bird. Some people say I can look at a bird and see if that bird spin. Teach me something.
Yes.
Show me.
They all should be flown.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to know. You don't fly them. What do you know if you don't fly?
Right.
The only way you're going to judge it. How do we judge these birds? Do we judge them in the show pen, or do we judge them in the air?
In the air.
Right.
So
So
I'm gonna leave that one
if
just
you
like
judge them
that.
in the air, then that's where you buy your birds from. You buy them from the air. So, but
That's how
everybody
you
has
tell
a
a Birmingham roller, because it's rolling in the air.
right roll in the air. A bird can look the part. He
Right.
can have everything it takes, but he might not roll. So just by looking at him, don't mean that much.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the ugliest birds are sometimes the best spinners. But then again, everybody likes type. But everybody has a different type that they like. So type is what you like.
He plays his part somewhere, but bottom line, the bird should be flown.
Definitely flown, no matter what. If you don't fly them, they're not working.
Hey, how's it going? Good. Guys made it down. How was the drive?
Sometimes you don't want to leave. He's tougher than me. I ain't been messing with
Like
him.
I was telling one.
Weather up.
Part about who that is.
And how long you you've been doing pigeons, period. I mean, for
30
30
plus
years. 30 years.
Yeah,
So
30
from
plus
this guy, little age, so you guys got to add it up from the 10 to this guy.
Yeah,
so
I
you
grew
know-
up down
So
in-
you don't really want to know what his real age is.
Well, no, I 6, 7 years old. I grew up down in South Central, down that area.
South
and,
Central, where? California?
Down L.A.
L.A., Los Angeles,
Yep.
California.
Moved to Orange County, and then now I live up in Lake Arrowhead. And of course, I raise my birds down out of my office warehouse area in Corona,
Okay.
and that's where they're flown. I fly mobile.
You fly
I got a
mobile,
mobile loft on a trailer where I got 4 kit boxes, and
and it works out pretty good for
move
you.
them where I want to move them, fly them where I want to fly them.
What?
Yeah, real nice.
How long did it take you to develop that? Is it pretty hard to do?
It is a difficult thing to do because you're. Oh, I got some birds.
We got some
taking
birds
off here.
going up. We got some birds taking off. Sorry about that. We didn't mean to interrupt it. Ooh.
Everything stops when the birds take off.
This is what we call rollers, guys. Sorry about that. We're gonna get back to the interview just in a minute. So, did you compete in competition this year?
Yeah, competed in the fall fly MBRC. Didn't do real well. The wind was such that we had some hawk losses a week before, and the birds were pretty spooky, so they flew pretty fast and didn't do as well as I wanted to.
Hey, back up, back up. He'll come out about this far. He'll come out this far, so I back up. He ripped the guy all the way open, so don't stick your face there, and it's fast. Believe me. You ready? You want to ask him any questions?
You tell us about some stuff that you accomplished, or tell us
Well,
about the way.
One of the things that I've done is we talked a little bit earlier about the mobile kit box. And it's a little bit different situation than a lot of guys are involved with. When you fly from a stationary kit box in a backyard, it's a little different. The birds learn the terrain around the property, other structures, buildings, trees. They get to home in on the kit box and they know where it is and they get familiar with the area.
Right.
When you're flying a mobile kit box, you want to train the birds in a little bit different way. You want to train them so that they become homed to a specific kit box and kind of ignore the surroundings, and they
Right.
focus in on that. So if you've ever moved your kit box in your backyard, for example, birds come down, they're looking where the kit box was.
Right.
When you fly mobile, that doesn't happen as much because they're looking at where the kit box is. Now the mobile trailer that I use has a big hot pink X on the top on the roof. And it's painted white, it's easy to see, it shows up from a long distance away. And the birds become keyed to that.
That color.
I've had birds that didn't come back originally when I'm ready to leave, and I've had them chase me down the street. They'll follow the kit box down the street as I'm leaving. And of course I'll stop and they'll land right on the top of it and I'll trap them in.
That's interesting.
But it takes a lot of work because you have to keep moving around and stuff so that the birds don't get familiar with an area. And it's a lot of satisfaction doing that. Gives you the capability of being able to fly birds even though you may live in an area where you wouldn't normally be able to fly. There's a lot of cities and restrictions and stuff that don't allow it. And the problem is as soon as you let your birds out, it's a big sign saying, I got birds, come and tell me I can't have them. But if you're able to take and pull them someplace else and fly them, then you get a situation where you don't have the problem. And it's a lot of fun flying in different areas.
Well, thank you for the interview. Really appreciate it.
One more
Great.
question. Could you tell me the difference in your club, CPRC? A lot of people respect you guys' club, and look up to you guys. You're pretty big, and you did a lot,
We've accomplished a
so
lot.
far.
Well,
So
the CPRC...
what makes you guys club that really sound and everything? Seem like it's a good sound group of guys.
Well, the Pensa Memorial show that we're having today is a good example of what we've basically been fostering throughout the years. Years ago, rollers were kind of divided between people who wanted to show rollers and people who wanted to fly, and those that wanted to be in between. Most of the people that are in the CPRC are people that were old-time roller men that basically dealt with flying rollers.
Right.
They've stuck with that. That's been their concept from day one. The show issue, we know that it draws a lot of attention. We do have a show here. For those that are interested, they participate, which is good. Any type of participation is what we're looking for. CPRC, there's only about 20-25 members in it. We keep it small so that we can basically deal with the shows and the flying and everything else and be able to do it within a couple days each month. Otherwise, it'd take us a week and a half.
Don't get so close, man.
There's so many flyers in the Southern California area, and there's so many clubs that are starting up. The difference between the CPRC and some of these others is that we've been around a long time.
Okay.
We seem to be in an area where there's a lot of competition, a lot of that, and it draws that. And it's mainly we have members who are very active.
Right.
If they're not active, they don't stay in the club. Simple as that.
Do you guys deal with each other's birds a lot? Like, it's
funny
you might
because
try a few guys,
Well, not necessarily. I mean, there's people who have birds that have been around. For give you an example, is Jerry Higgins. He's got a lot of birds that he has given to other people or sold to other people in the area and all around the world. They've done well. And these birds are predominant in some areas and do well for a lot of flyers. Other flyers don't necessarily look at that. They've gotten other birds from other areas. For example, me, I'm trying some birds from World Cup winner Heine Binker, who is basically, I got these during the auction they had for the World Cup fly a couple years ago, and I've been working with those. So I'm not working with some of the local guys, and I'm putting it a little bit different. There's nobody else in the local area that flies mobile like I do either.
Right.
So we kind of do our own thing, and we respect it. Of course, you're always looking for good birds. You're looking for this and that, and it depends on what your program is and how you're trying to go and what you're trying to achieve as to what you're going to do.
Right.
But CPRC is, we don't have infighting. We basically have people that pull together and make this thing work. That's what it's all about, flying birds.
Just being in a club, enjoying
You're darn
yourself.
right. It's darn right. It's not about anything else.
Right.
And that's the thing that we really worked on hard. And it shows.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Comes out about this far.
Another one in there?
You guys don't know, there's a lot of people, a lot of participation. Southern California is full of a lot of birds. This is like one of the biggest, this is the bird capital of the world right here. To tell you the truth, I mean, these guys are very dedicated to their sport. You got Jerry, you got Johnny Smith, we're going to be interviewing them later.
Alrighty.
What club you represent, man? What club you represent? High Desert Roller Club, putting in damage. Did you guys beat the CPRC last year? Let them know.
Yes, he did.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
What's up, Sean?
So any day, anybody can beat anybody, right? You're from the Roller Association, is that the TRA? That's one of the oldest clubs. It could be bad, but
They're pretty old.
pretty old.
All right,
We up there.
all right,
We
no,
up there.
it's right there. There it is.
Look at that. See
There
that?
it is
Look,
right there.
here it is. Let's see. We got HDRC, which is a High Desert Roller Club. That's a roller club out of Antelope Valley, California. And CPRC, the score, let me see the score on that. Get back over here again. We got a score of 1,043 points. That's an average between what, 4 flyers or something like that? 6 flyers flew from each club.
24 flyers.
And that's the score. It was a one-sided, lopsided victory. It was very unexpected, but you know what? We're going to have another battle, and then we're going to see how it ends up again. Lady,
Love you.
you better say love you, or else you're going to be in the doghouse later on.
That's my hand right here.
All right, hold hand.
Well, you know what? Young, but it's all flavor.
If we start feeding commies like Shadio, and if nobody complains about the commies, then put some pigeons on there. Test the water.
I don't have time for birds.
Come on. We have 5 minutes to interview Tim Decker, man. I mean, this is a
5 minutes? That's, what are you going to do for the other 4?
Hey, Tim, how long you been in the pigeons?
I started in 1978.
That's 1 year after I was born. That's horrible.
1978.
That's horrible.
The first pigeons I banded in 1978.
And what family of birds was that?
They were back then. There were no family of birds. I got these birds from a friend that lived in the area.
And from then, where did you go?
And then I went to Leroy Washington's and Jerry Higgins. Got some of Jerry Higgins' old family. Bred some Leroy Washingtons. Met a guy named Stuart Forsythe in probably 1985, 86 time frame. Started breeding pigeons from Stuart Forsythe's family. And so if you're going to know about the family that I have, I've taken 4 different families and crossed them.
And that's what you're
So I have a
working
little
with?
272, which is hardcore Pinson. Got a little 9648, which came from Charlie Saldana. I got a little, what else is in there? Little Stewart, which is, Stewart went back to the 255 Lavin stuff. Very, very highly inbred. And then a taste of Sammy Williams. And he's a guy from up in Gilmar, Northern California.
And what are some of your accomplishments that you have accomplished in this sport? I know it's a lot. There's a lot. You've done a lot. So
I've never won the World Cup.
how close?
I've never won the Fall Fly. Close at all in there. I've got a master flyer from the MBRC.
So you are a master flyer.
Yes.
And it takes a lifetime to probably accomplish.
It takes a lifetime and a whole lot of World Cup good performance in the World Cup. I can't. I think this last year I was 7th. This year I was 7th. But the best is 4th, and I've placed 11th, 10th several times.
And what club do you belong to?
I belong to the CPRC, and the MBRC.
And MBRC club. And where have you been? I mean, a lot of people know Tim Decker because Tim Decker has been almost everywhere, and it's a worldwide known name because you've been doing it so long. But I know you've been over to Europe.
Lucky for me, in 2000 I was selected to judge the World Cup. Although I didn't win, people that are in the know for the World Cup voted me in to judge. I was available, so I went out and judged. So I've been all over the world as far as what's known to the world of rollers. And so that starting with Canada, United States, all of the United States, Belgium, Holland, England, and South Africa.
And
were all my trophies.
Pretty much, where did you see the best birds? Do you think?
Here.
Here in the United States.
Here.
Here,
Southern California.
Here in Southern California.
Here in Southern California, got some awfully nice birds in Utah.
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 And who birds are?
Jay Starley flies. His family of birds in Utah seems to be a real nice family of pigeons.
Pretty good
He's kept them real tight as far as the family. He doesn't mix them up. He's got nice ones. But one of the things I can say is there's nice birds all over the place. People in South Africa give anybody a run for their money as far as good quality pigeons. And the pigeons that they fly out of England are different than ours. They fly patterns. They're more frequent. They break in bigger groups. The ones that Heine Biker flew a very nice team for me in Holland, and I saw some really good birds in Denmark. So there's no real place that one has better birds than others. But I think here in Southern California area is kind of the mecca for pigeons, and lots of people have very good pigeons. A lot of good pigeons here.
A lot of good pigeons. It's like the highest concentration of quality pigeons in the world. I mean, going down to south of San Diego, up north in California, and also here in the Inland Empire. Well, we thank you for this interview, and I'm going to turn it over to him if he wants to ask you any questions.
No, I'm fine.
Questions? You good? No, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I enjoyed
Put one in.
it. Okay.
He is the fairest judge I've ever, and I've been around judges. This guy is fair.
Oh, fair.
Fair judge.
Okay. So if
Anybody's
looking to give Tim a ticket to come judge their birds,
you guys in Las Vegas, call me up.
All right, thanks.
I got one question. What is the most important thing that you think somebody should focus on in starting a good family? Or should they be looking for a type? Should they just pick birds out of the air? Or just get them from somebody and just trust in their judgment?
Well, the longer that I've been in the sport, the more I know that if you are able to get good pigeons from anybody, make sure you get them out of the air.
That's right.
Make sure you know what the family's like before you get them.
That's right.
And when you breed them, just breed from the best that you've got.
The best you've seen fly.
Best that, you know, best that if you get some fast spinners, put those fast spinners together. You know, a lot of people talk about having to have this real close family. The families that I'm breeding from right now, I have a 3-in-1 family and 4-in-1 family. 3-in-1 family is 3 different families together. 4-in-1 families is 4 together. And yet, when I'm making those, I'm making some nice spinners by mixing and matching those 4 families.
And you just pick the best spinners on. What about
I'm
depth?
picking
What do you think about depth on a pigeon? Do you figure if you got 2 60-foot pigeons, you can get 120-foot pigeon, or do you figure you can get a 20-foot pigeon, a 10-foot pigeon, a pigeon don't even perform?
Yeah.
So that's what's so.
I think you need to continually add deep into your pigeons. If you don't add deep, then I think they end up being too short. Competition nowadays, you have to have deep pigeons. If you don't fly deep pigeons, you don't get a very good score.
What's the ideal depth for you when you go judge?
At one time, I felt if I could get 20-foot pigeons that were pretty nice, which is a very difficult task. It is not an easy task. 20-foot pigeons are ideal for kit competition. Problem with 20-foot pigeons these days, they're scored as 10-foot pigeons. So you need something deeper than that. You need 30 to 40-foot pigeons that'll get back to the kit to do any depth scoring.
It's very hard to get a good pigeon that's going to spin with very good velocity.
It's very difficult to do all of those. So this is not an easy sport to get into. It's not an easy sport to stay into if you're frustrated. The early frustration, you end up getting out of the birds. If you stay with it and be real tight with your family, you'll do well.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Good. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Tell what we do. Hey, I came over here to introduce you guys to Keith London. We want to do an interview. We're gonna do this right here on the spot. This what you call live, like this. This is the boy that got me in the birds. He used to come over and told me I had bullshit. I only got one bird that's over there that's good. And he told me to kill everything else. You know what I did? I told him, I said, man, you gotta give me. I went to his house, I threw my kid up in his kid. I said, since he don't give me no bird, I'm gonna steal his birds out the air. So I used to straight. But he's the one who's been keeping me into these birds for so long. And this is one of my mentors, man. I'd like to introduce you guys to Keith London. How long you been in birds, man? You gotta look, he gotta think. And remember, the Pigeon Connection, located on 83rd and Western. We got bird food, we got medication, we got everything. You know what I'm saying?
About 20 years.
About 20 years? What type of birds, what family of birds do you work with?
My smoke family of birds, the little Higgins cross.
And where did that smoke family of birds originate from?
Actually, from a yellow hen, Doug Brown bred, cross to a cockney Cornell Norwood. That's how it started.
Doug Brown, the late Doug Brown. And you know, and what was it? What have been some of the things that you've accomplished in this sport since you've been in this sport here?
Misery, stress, headaches. No,
that comes with the sport too. You fly off a whole good kit.
No, it's like I do pretty well with some of the local flies. And I've done good lately in the big flies, World Cup, fall flies.
And what are you aiming to do? You aiming to just?
I want to win both of those.
You got to win both of them.
I don't want to come in second no more.
You don't want to come in second no more.
I do the second thing. It's good. The first will be a lot better.
What is something that you've seen that you've done repeatedly, like over the years, something that you've like stuck to, that you've seen at work that you know that you really dedicated to your birds, that you
quality of speed.
I need everybody to be quiet.
Quality of speed. Well, I like the quality of speed and a lot of frequency. I like birds working.
Working birds.
I don't know.
We're gonna do this interview later.
Even the guys out in the backyard. So please come up front just for a minute. So you guys can head back, go down. Okay, so if I found one individual who had some Bud Light, the signs are they're posted everywhere. If you've got alcoholic beverages, take them out of here. Otherwise, they will shut the show down. Take them outside. Hide the cans someplace. They are going to be here. Okay, we don't have a liquor license. The show will be over. You don't do it. Thanks.
You know how I'm just trying to get back into it, man, so I can do it.
What's going on? What's up, B-Way?
All you guys in here?
Yeah, how you doing, dog? Hey, young man.
Hey,
Where
what's
you
going
been,
on?
boy? You got your camera down. Keep filming, boy. Keep filming with your man. How you
This
been, big
is my
brother?
artwork. I've been okay.
What?
Yeah, I did this one and this one. Don't mess.
Sweet. Go on with your man. You done got together, boy.
He ain't got one skill, he got several skills.
Hey, what's that?
Where's our bird?
What's up, Bob? See, this is my work, right?
Hey, Mr. Joe Bauer.
That way even better. So wherever you're ready, you let me know. I let you prime them and get them ready.
Yeah.
You call me, I'm always ready.
It's on tape, too. It's on tape. That's right. It's on tape. We're going to do it at the end of the season.
How long was that?
We start up. They shut down. When they start up, we shut down.
I'll never shut down, so I'm always ready. Don't worry.
So that's what we're going to have.
Don't worry. I ain't got no shut down. No? I ain't shut down.
Don't worry about it, Keith. Talk is cheap. It's going to separate the men from the boys.
I won every bet this year. Hey, I won all my bets this year, so I ain't got to worry about too much.
Well, that's just you're going to pay out of it.
I ain't lost a bet. I ain't lose no bet last year.
Well, you just lost one already because you said you was going to beat him, right?
I lose that one. As long as I beat you.
Well, then we break even, right?
I call it even.
Okay, but then you just come out of 200 when you lose.
I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about him, but I ain't got to worry about you. So don't worry about it.
Well, shit is easy, nigga. You ain't done shit all. You said you was gonna beat me in the world. You didn't come up. You didn't do nothing, dog. What are you talking about? You better check any record that you want to see.
Here, fuck it. Let me get an extra 50 on that. Let me get a, make it on you. With me, make it 150. Make it another 150. Make it 150. Fuck it.
On me and him, we got 100.
I don't know who trust him. I trust mine.
That's right.
I trust mine. I get that extra 50. I want to go buy this bird, though.
Huh?
Some ball.
You ain't ready yet?
Whenever you call me.
Whenever I call him.
Whenever you fucking call me.
So when I call him, I'll post it.
Next Saturday after.
Okay, I'll post it. Just check Terry Duncan website. It'll be posted.
I hope it's soon, because I need that money. I hope it's
It
soon.
ain't gonna be soon. I told you, we're gonna give you a chance to let
I don't need
your
no
birds
chance,
do
man.
what
I
you
don't need
gonna
no
do.
chance. Believe me.
You need a chance.
Believe me, I know.
You need a chance.
What we keep thinking that? That's what you think that is.
Okay. That means I don't want to hear shit when I say, okay, it's on and cracking, let's go.
Let's do it next month.
Nope, we said when it's on and cracking, if you let me pick, then let me pick. Don't worry about what homework I do as long as I whoop your ass.
Do his homework. Yeah, really do his homework.
And Will, I ain't even worried about you.
He got to worry about you.
I ain't got to worry about you either.
I seen y'all, they fly. Them motherfuckers scoring like 40 points. They give it to 500. Oh, shit.
Hey,
they math is wrong.
Is that right? How many times did I?
They calculated it as a double. You press 1, it's going to give you 10.
Is that what it
Hey, one bird, right? 1.7, 1.8.
What happened when we went to your house? What happened when we went to your house? No. What happened when we went to your house? What happened when we went to your house and you was playing your number one hit?
Hold on. Daryl, we flew in high desert. How many points will we score?
We went to your house.
I would have about 4,000 points fucking with y'all.
What happened? No. Huh? What happened when we went to his house and he flew his number one
They
hit?
didn't do shit.
Huh?
They sure did.
But he was saying that the
What time did I
motherfuckers
fly
was
my
on, right?
birds? At 4
Were they on?
o'clock
Wait a
and
minute.
90
Wait a minute.
degrees.
Did he say they was on? And he had to drive over there.
That's just to get you to come over there.
To see what? Your motherfucking dogs in the
You look at
backyard?
it, charge you to come back.
You charge us with all the landlines.
Trash talking at his prime right here.
I ain't come to no script today, man. He's starting to run. I want to keep quiet.
See what he say.
This is 81st break.
The most exciting part was
That's
one of the tails that it to the falcon.
Yeah, right. Now you trying to make up some shit. You trying to make a story?
So you
write a book.
When you flying again? Next week?
When you flying?
I'm flying next Saturday. Come on, I bet you see some shit.
Bet.
Guaranteed.
Bet.
Yes.
Okay, how much
Guaranteed.
put up at least minimum?
I'll beat you.
No, minimum.
I will beat you. If you judge, I'm gonna score 55. But if anybody from High Desert judge, I'm scoring 600.
30.
None of y'all take math.
They only give out 30. 30 points. High Desert judge 30 points.
For who?
That's how they
None
judge.
of them took math. No, we don't judge.
No, unless somebody in your club jump me, I'm gonna get 30. That's how y'all.
Hey, were you referring to Steve?
Yeah.
Because you got 30 points?
33 points.
Oh, is that what it was?
Rewind it.
Man.
We gotta fly somebody out of town. Come fuck around with him.
He said they can't go damn, y'all scrambling and shit. Keep it quiet, Sean. Look, I ain't said shit.
I'm waiting on you.
What's up, Jerry? Now you fly against the guys.
Who?
Y'all gonna fly against the guys again?
Nigga, your name, y'all club name ain't even on the goddamn roster.
What? Y'all got 100 people, Bonnie. Y'all got 100 people in your club. Only 2 people do something.
Okay. What 2 is that?
Willie and
Donnie?
Alton, that's it. Right
Willie
there.
and Donnie? Willie Alton?
That's it.
Hey.
I was gonna build that. There. I was gonna build that.
You just gonna build one?
But if you want them to last, they work really well because the clamps have more. You guys got I got cases.
Yep.
I had some aluminum roofs that that actually blew off the wind. Yeah, and so I went to these.
I bought the purse from that time.
I don't get too many, I don't put too many outcrosses on there. So what I have, there's a lot of like cousins and stuff like that, because I don't really like to really inbreed them too much, like brother, sister, or even the father to the daughter and all this. So I try to avoid that as much as I can, because I don't have too good luck with them. So that's pretty much what I have there.
Look at what birds do you use for outcross? I mean, how would you work that into your program?
Yeah, usually I try to get as much with Jerry's as much as I can, and just try it out. And usually they've been working out good. It mixes in real well. You know, there's some strain that just it doesn't work at all. You know, so they don't last too long. But usually most of the stuff I get from Jerry, they just working real well.
What is like the most important thing that you look for you know, in a bird? Is it like the type, or is it just the role, or is it just from breeding, or what do you look for?
A lot of my breeders, I do fly them, so I see what the majority of them. I do see how they do in the air. And speed is one of the biggest thing I like on it, speed. I'd rather see speed than depth, you know, because you see some deep ones that are sloppy, and the speed is my main thing there.
Is that easier to control, the speed, or, you know, compared to the depth, or?
I like depth. If I can get speed with depth, I love it. And even on kit birds, I'll fly the deepest I can. I don't try to go with just a kit that just roll, you know, short. If I could get them all deep, if I have 20 birds that goes, you know, 40 plus, I'll fly them. I don't care.
How do you feel about the hobby now? Do you think it's going in a good direction?
Well, I think it is. I think now I've seen more quality spin than from the past. From the past, I see a lot of deep birds, but they're not as tight. You know, but it seemed like the last, say, 5 years or so, I've seen more good spinners, more of them than kits than anything else.
Why do you think that? Because people, it's just more birds out there for people, or are people just learning more, you know, getting smarter about breeding birds and stuff like that?
I think a little of each, and then they're getting birds from good. They're getting, okay, like Jerry, for instance. There, a lot of people get a lot of birds from Jerry, and Jerry, he always flies good birds. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. He's got the depth along with the speed. And a lot of birds are coming from him, and they all cross them with something else at many times, but they still come out good. They still come out real good. And I think it's getting quality birds from good breeders. Like I said, Jerry's, for instance.
Right. What kind of competitions do you participate in, and how well have you done?
Well, I'm pretty much with the CPRC, and our club, the members. There's a lot of good competition in our club. If you place first, second, or whatever, you did pretty good. You did, in fact, real good, because we have a lot of guys that's been in the World Cup and NBRC and everything else like that. So if you were to win a first place in the month, you're doing real well. And as far as our club, there's quite it's not one guy taking first place every month. It kind of go, you know, it goes. We get quite a few guys. Like I said, there's a lot of good quality flyers in our club. Real good quality.
One more question. What is something that you can recommend for somebody just getting into the hobby or whatever? How to, you know, go about, you know, becoming a better fancier?
That's the thing. The best thing is you go to someone that's been winning. You watch his birds, and boy, I sure like the way those birds are spinning. Try to get some of those birds.
Right.
Work with that. But the best thing is, like I said, you go around and you see what. I've seen some guys that kind of just stay in their backyard and they think their birds are good. They go outside, all of a sudden they're looking at these other kids.
They're seeing different stuff.
And there's different stuff, and then all of a sudden they said, wow, maybe my birds aren't that good.
Right.
So then, you know, if he was smart, he would try to improve and try to get to that point.
Right.
So.
But the next one.
All right. Just let me know, you know, how long you've been in the game or whatever. You know, what type of birds that you started your line from, and you know what type of birds you're working with now. What's going on now?
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Rayvon Hall. I've been in it about 28 years, on and off, but mostly on. Started off with across the two families, which was Eddie Scott's Lehmeyer Birds and Sam Gutierrez's Lehmeyer Birds, and still pretty much working with that. Progressed a little bit with little Norm Reed birds. a little 12-20 and red at hen basically. Okay. And that makes up pretty much my family. Those 5 families pretty much does.
Okay. What's some of the things that you look for that you think is real important in your birds? As far as like, is it the type? Is it, do you just judge them out the air, or do you just take people's word, for what they worth?
Well, me personally, I've always looked for a bird that was real strong and standing up. If I'm gonna pick a bird off the ground and not out the air. And a bird that shows itself. I like birds that are real robust, not too big but not too small. I like a bird with a full neck, full head on my cocks. I want a cock to look like a cock, a hen to look like a hen, basically.
Do you think you can? Some people say that you shouldn't pick them off the ground. They should always be flown. That you can't really judge a bird on just type or whatever by itself.
No, I believe in this day and time we got to be able to pick them both ways. With the falcon problem being as bad as it's been, we can't get that fly time in the way we want. So we got to be able to pick them both ways. I think you got to be able to pick them both ways to be able to pick a really good bird.
Okay. Can you just let me know about some of the things that you accomplished or whatever, and where you think the hobby is going right now or whatever? Like if you flew in like some flies or club flies and stuff like that. Just let me know, some of the things that you accomplished, shows and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, one of my biggest accomplishments, I think, was putting on shows for about 14 years straight for ICRC, and we brought a lot of people together. We brought a lot of people from all over, hadn't seen each other in a long time, so I take that to heart as one of the things I've accomplished. I think I've given to the hobby as much as anyone in terms of trying to help somebody start out and things of that nature. Also, I think that, yes, the hobby is definitely headed toward a new direction, and it's better than what it was because we're getting more and more people that are understanding the birds in general, and so I think that's going to help us down the road.
Is it some people that you like kind of admire, or is it some good prospects, some guys that you think that's going to be doing real good in the future? That's really like making a good statement, right now.
Yeah, well, it's been quite a few people. I'm real partial to my club, ICRC, and the members. We've had a lot of members go on and do great things. Juan being one of my best buddies in the club, Eddie Scott. We can go on. Frank Cortez, I remember him. He inspired me a lot. And then recently, my boy Keith been blowing it up. So, yeah, we're definitely doing big things. And people like that, I had to go back to Keith this year, as a matter of fact, just to get some things and do it over again like we had done in the past. He came to me in the beginning, now I'm back at him. So we've been doing it like that all the time, so yeah. And we got some other young prospects coming up too. I like things Derek McGee been doing. He's been getting out, getting around a whole lot, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of other young brothers too that's doing real good.
Okay. Could you just just give me a couple of things on some advice that you can give like a young guy or
Did you check your bird in there? You're calling just now.
I checked it.
You good? Sorry about that.
Some guys that some advice that you can give somebody that's just getting into the game, how, to pace yourself, what to look for,
I think
some important
for the new and young people coming up now, I think you got to get out and see a lot. Get out and see as much as you can. Don't stay in your own backyard, because if you do, you're going to be kind of blinded to what's really going on. So get out as much as you can, see as many people as you can. And I still believe that if you get birds from people who are doing real good, you stand a chance of doing real good from that.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right.
It's almost like that hen you got, Joe.
Yeah.
But it's in yours is more.
Now this is a blue black here too, believe it or not. A blue black. But this one I think is dilute.
Yeah, I would think it is.
I think it's too light for pale. I believe it.
Could be just a little.
Yeah. Did you get it?
Now this year we got a recessive red down at Joe's house. It's a recessive red white barn.
Can I see that one?
It's about 40 feet. So we fly.
Which one?
The mosaic.
See now, a lot of these he start crossing them in, but those are birds that I
This is a
had
bronze.
15 years ago. But the ones that we have now, like in this color right here, 50, 60 feet.
They got that color neck on them?
Yeah. We got them in the reduced.
You got it?
Yeah. You know, we get them.
Because I remember some birds we got from Randy, you know, nice reduced, they just didn't have that gold neck on.
Well, you know,
They
sometimes.
had that silver neck.
Right, that peachy. You know, I call it peachy.
Yeah. Because he had some pretty good reduced.
You want a picture of that white one? Or?
Yeah.
Because we've got a couple of Randy's reduced hands. That's what we use.
Remember that Andalusian I brought for you?
That's it. All those ones that ran the white.
Yeah.
There was a blue white bar with a bald head.
Yeah.
I gave that to Randy.
This one.
That was a long time ago. I remember he had him one day up at the show. I seen him. And I kept saying, "Damn, that looks like one."
Hell yeah. No, they show. Man.
Hey, man, don't be talking to the birds.
That's a nice fucking word, isn't it?
You should see the other ones that he got in his box over there.
Where?
Right over there where John Jones is.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and we get set up behind me here. We're going to go ahead and wrap it off with 2 kit boxes. Okay, and then the raffle will be continued.
What would you call that, man?
Tumbler.
We can't say recessive, baby.
Tumbler.
What would you call
Hey
that?
guys,
Tumbler.
Tumbler. Tumbler.
We're going to get ready to do this. Hey, no harassing the pigeons. You cannot harass the pigeons nor the judge.
Jerry,
You getting them now?
that bad light is done.
The key to replacing the old veterans is getting rid of them. So.
Yeah. That's doing
You do it again. You got one last smile, Juan.
He like this. That's pain. That's pain.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Whatever you want to say.
You just ask a question and I'll answer. Whatever you want to do.
You can go first.
Winners! There goes the winners! Hey Larry, you got a smile on your face?
Y'all coming, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay, see ya.
Poison medicine.
So Jerry,
Yes, sir.
when was it, what year did you start in birds? Do you remember? It's been so long.
1950.
And what birds did you start with?
Whatever bird I could catch.
Oh, you used to strand pigeons.
When I was a kid, yeah, I was only 10 years old.
Have
then.
you ever met Penson?
No.
You never did.
No.
But you did you have some of his birds? Or,
Oh, yeah.
and how did you acquire that?
I got them from Bob Scott
Okay.
and Elder McDowell.
And that was what family of birds was those?
That was red-headed hen, and then a whole bunch of 187, Lee-Meyer birds, 514 birds.
Is that what your current family is based on now? Not at all?
Current family goes back mostly to Houghton, and those birds came from Reed, Ron Kumaro, and Richard Espinosa.
And those are all different pigeons, or?
All different pigeons,
So-
but they all go back to the same birds that came from Joe Houghton. And then those birds from him went back to Pennsylvania.
Is that San Juan? I mean, is that fine?
But I mean, so how many different birds made up your family of birds?
Took about 6 or 7.
6 or 7. And Richard, is there some Jackanet strain in there? Or?
Well, the birds that Reed's birds go back to Jackanet, and they came from the birds from Richard Espinosa, and those are the Houghton birds. That's the only Jackanet birds that were really in there. I never got no birds from Jackanet. I got them.
So is that bird they always talk about called Rusty?
Yeah, they go back to that. They go back to that bird.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got any questions you want to ask?
When did you like, far as you
to start that family?
No, well, making progress. You know, like from being a beginner and really seeing that you was making a progress. You know.
I won the Bill Pinson Trophy, which was all of Southern California, 1973. In those days, we had the CRS, and the CRS covered everything from Palm Springs to Simi Valley. Everybody flew in it, but they were probably only about, in those days, they were probably about 10 or 15 good flyers.
And everybody was just flying. What?
Everybody was in the show stuff at that time, and there was only a few of us that were into flying birds and into competition.
And what's the difference between competition today and competition back then?
The difference in competition then is that there were only a few guys that had good birds that would roll.
So you think
there were guys like me, Charlie Saldana, Bob Scott, Eldon McDowell, Frank Lavin, John Destout, his brother Byron, a couple guys down in San Fernando Valley, Richard Espinosa, Dave Sanchez. Some of those guys were in it, or they were just getting started at the time. And that was about it.
That was all it was. But do you guys used to do kick competition like we do, like our synchronized?
Arnold Jackson flew, and Bill Areola, but they were just not. They just weren't very many. I mean, you could probably count them all on 2 hands.
So how did competition change of today? Because we judge our birds by how many roll together and how deep.
Well,
you guys used to do
really the transition started about 1990, and then we had the first World Cup in 1991, and competition really got going good. Then.
So did you ever expect the sport to grow as it did, and so many people just come?
No, it's amazing. I mean, now with England and all of Canada and the Netherlands and South Africa and Australia, Jesus God, it's just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So South Africa.
They were probably last year in the World Cup. They were probably like 2,000 kids or something like that.
What? So South Africa. Let's talk South Africa. I heard those guys got their birds from you. Is that correct?
They got some birds from me. I sold them 5 pair of birds.
That's it.
But most of them most of their birds comes from England.
Okay.
And they bought them from several guys in England.
So a lot of people are saying, oh, those guys in South Africa only got the Higgins birds and things like that. That's the rumor that's going around. No. That's not the truth. No. You heard it from the mouth.
But I'm sure there's a lot of them. The guy that bought the birds from me in South Africa is named Frank Baker.
Okay.
And Frank has qualified for the World Cup the last two years. He's flown.
Wow.
And the other guy is Kenny Tommy. And those are the 2 guys that came over and bought those birds. But most of the birds in South Africa come from the good English flyers.
What do you look for to as far as stocking a bird? I mean, from starting from the squeakers, on to
I look for, it just depends. I mean,
do you stock birds that often, or would
I usually
a bird
stock,
really have to show
I
you
usually
something
stock-
to get in it?
I usually stock 3 or 4 birds a year.
And they got to be awesome. Good velocity, good depth. What's the best? What kind of depth you look for?
Just depends on, usually when I stock a bird, I got it in mind to mate to another bird. And, it just depends.
Right.
It may be a superstar in the air, or it may have some other characteristic that I need to improve in my bird. What I try to do is balance out the matings. And it's hard to have a perfect pigeon. I don't even know anybody that has a perfect pigeon. But you should